what occurred on Saturday, a historic day for our program, for our city, and for the university. But all right, all eyes, and we're moving forward to a great Temple team. Obviously, we know it's another conference game. It's the next game, so guess what? It's the most important one on our schedule. I think our young men realize the importance of this game. We've got to have a great week of preparation and practice, but excited to be back in our Liberty Bowl. Let me obviously give credit to our wonderful fans. We were just over 10,000 fans. They were loud. They were great. It made for a great home atmosphere Saturday. So appreciative of that and look forward to seeing many familiar faces back in Liberty Bowl this Saturday as well.
Evan, first question.
Ryan, how's it going?
Good, Evan. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So kind of going, your offense obviously had one of its best days in program history, over 700 yards. With Coxie now gone, how do you expect this off? Do you expect this offense to how do you expect this team to keep the same consistency now, knowing that Calvin, Taj, Devon have to keep that level of consistency now going forward the rest of the season?
Yeah, we got great faith. I mean, I really said it after the game. I was so proud of the way so many of those wide receivers stepped up, right? Again, I'll say this again. Calvin Austin, this is his first year on scholarship, was a walk-on last year, right? Taj did not play last year. Javon Ivory did not play last year. Guys like Jeremy Tate got in the game. Kai Matthew got in the game. So just really, really happy for a bunch of guys that probably a lot of people weren't thinking would have big roles this season, stepping up and doing some great things. And the next man up mentality, and those young bulls took it by the horn, and just proud of the way they did it. Obviously, when you have a great quarterback like Brady White, all hands on deck to help him and put some more weapons around him. So, look, we're going to hope continue forward without skipping a beat, and excited about that young roster and that wide receiver room for sure.
With that said, obviously you guys have had to deal with losing Kenny opting out. Drake has stepped up. Cozy stepped out. Guys have stepped up. What does it say about just kind of, this offense, not just with Brady, but just with guys, not just being ready, but really being thrust into having to step into some pretty big shoes and not missing a beat?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the character of our young men and the determination. We're so fortunate that we've got guys that are willing to step up. Reality, Drake Clark was probably your fourth string running back last year, right? If you look at Patrick Taylor, Antonio Gibson, and Kenny Gainwell, and now all of a sudden he's your starting running back. You guys got like Markevius Weaver, a walk-on that's getting carries and playing significant playing time. Sean Dykes, who didn't play last year, Cam Wilson. And so reality, if you look at our skill position, the only guy that played much last year was Brady White. And so it's really impressive what those guys are able to do. Again, I think it speaks volume about their character, their work ethic, their willingness to go out there and battle down in and down out. And obviously it led to success on Saturday. We're going to have challenges all through the season, right? Because we are, we went from being a veteran-laden team, all you guys said in the offseason, they're loaded with weapons with Kenny and Coxie. They're going to, and then you guess what? They're not here. So, but just proud, and we're going to have to battle week in and week out and continue to improve. Still a lot to work on offensively. That's for darn sure. We still have offensive linemen in different positions than they were in the past, right? Manny Arona, still your center, right? We had that one poor snap. He's been wonderful with his ball security prior to that. The only guy that's remained consistent is the left tackle who started last year, but we've got different guys at right tackle, Dylan Parr moving out there. So a lot of moving parts, but we got to keep this train going. And I'm excited. I know they're ready to get back out on Tuesday practice, which is nice. I think obviously winning helps that mentality.
Steven?
Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
Good, Steven. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You said after the game on Saturday that you guys were going to fix the defense. After kind of watching film, I guess what's the first step in getting the defense to where you want it to be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I know I've said this quite often, is we got to limit the explosive plays. And I mentioned this last week. I don't want to be a bend but don't break defense. But we also have to be able to be smart in what we're doing back there, right? We can't have guys running by us. We got to make sure that we're getting the calls in on time. And again, that's going to start with practice and preparation. Obviously, look, credit to Arkansas State, SMU, and, obviously UCF, all three potent passing teams, right? And Temple obviously has a veteran quarterback and great receivers as well. So we're going to have our challenges week in, week out. We've just got to continue to improve. I believe the personnel and our coaching staff to get the calls right. It's just things that we're going to have to continue to correct. I've got to do a better job of challenging them at practice with taking shots over their heads, trying to do those different things, make sure they're getting lined up to the speed of the game. And that, again, that starts, with our practice during the week.
Terry?
Hey, Coach, man, it's one part of your game just not gotten very much recognition. The big ugly guys up front that protect Brady and open the holes up, man. They've had very few pre-snap penalties. I don't think they had one holding call. What's the difference from this offensive line this year than the previous coach who used to coach them?
Yeah, they got a better coach. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. No, I'm proud of the way they've done things, right? Again, you don't want to be hearing a lot about the offensive line. It's generally negativity, right? I always say this every year, and I said this when I was the offensive line coach. I don't know many teams that go in and say, I don't know if you can name more than 10% of college football teams or NFL teams that say, man, we got a great offensive line. We're just great all around. That's just the reality of it. It's building pieces together so they can have success. Anytime you put up those type of numbers, right? Being able to rush for over 200 yards again. Obviously, great running backs, great job by the tight ends, the receivers blocking downfield, Brady carrying out his fakes. But, I'm pleased with them. I think we're going to see, like I mentioned, Terry, is their development week in and week out. Hopefully we get to see it progress because, the cohesiveness of, Manny playing his first time at center, right? Obviously, he had that one bad snap, but just the communication with him and the guards and then with the tackles. I think we're going to see that continue to improve. I think Dylan Parham's playing at an all-conference type caliber level. He's a guy that, frankly, like I said, came here as a came here as a tight end, then moved to D-line, and then 2-year starter at left guard. And now it's, first year as a starter at right tackle. I think he's an elite player, and he's playing at a high level. We just got to continue to grow all along the offensive line, all 5 guys playing as one.
Cassie?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Wondering how much notice Calvin, Javon, Taj had before Coxie they knew Coxie wasn't going to be there for the game. And how do you approach getting them in the right mentality? Is it just like they naturally stepped up, or do you pull them aside and tell them something?
Yeah, it was not a good bit of notice. It was on short notice, to say the least. But again, it speaks so highly. I give a lot of credit to John Simon, our wide receiver coach. He had them prepared and they were ready. And then guess what? They didn't skip a beat, right? It's not like they batted an eye and said, oh my gosh, now I got to step in on national spotlight on ABC and thrown right into the wolves. They were all excited. They had smiles on their face, ready to get after it and grind. I know they were watching extra film because you could just tell that they were dialed in. They were locked in their meetings, focused, and it showed. And I think that's great that they, look, that's why we always talk about preparing our guys, right? I tell, even yesterday when coming off the field, I tell our young guys, I said, you never know. I said, there's going to be guys on this field right now that didn't even see a single snap, that just waved a towel on Saturday, that will be getting significant playing time as the season rolls on. And that's why I encourage them to constantly make sure they're staying their plays, they're locked in at practice, even if they're not getting the second team reps. And, those receivers, I mean, gosh, just again, I know I've used the word proud probably about 6,000 times, but that's the reality of it. I don't know how else to say it, Cassie, that, just happy that they've been locked in. And again, a lot of credit to their wide receiver coach and them for their maturity to step up into those roles.
Anthony?
Coach, how you doing this morning?
Good, Anthony. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. A couple questions. First, how deep is your roster? No matter how many guys you lose, the next guy up seems to perform without any loss of production on the field.
I like to think we have great depth, but as the season goes on, depth gets challenged, right? And so with this year more than ever, right? I mean, we saw our depth challenged with COVID-related issues, right? We've seen it now challenged with opt-outs and people no longer part of our program for various reasons. But again, I give a lot of credit to our young men. They've persevered, and our coaches do a great job of educating and teaching the guys, making sure everybody knows our system. And I think that's so important because even if a guy hadn't gotten the reps, we're going to need them to fill in and play big shoes. And I think one of the things that, Anthony, that's helped us down the road is being able to play young guys on special teams, because then they get a taste of what it's like to be on the field. And so their first time out there may not be just as a wide receiver, it may have been as a gunner on punt team. So they get a little feel for what it's like on game day. Plus, we're going to play as many good players as we can out there. But that's the biggest thing for here. And, we just want to continue to build depth in our program. I think that the landscape of college football, I talked to you guys, really over the last 6 months, I've even, Brian Moss, I talked about it quite a bit, is, it's roster management, right? When you're going to allow these one-time transfers and now you have opt-outs, and are they going to have a cap on scholarships, for signing day? What's all that going to look like? How do you ever get back up to your 85? Possibility of seniors returning. So I think those are all things that got to be factored into your depth. I know it's a long answer, but I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can within your one question. But, we got to continue to build the depth, but I'm happy with where we're at right now.
And UCF has had, South Florida, they've had your number for the past, 13 games or whatever. Preparing for the game and how nervous they were about wanting to finally beat this team versus the confidence and the swagger they may have after beating them Saturday. What is can you tell like a difference in that?
Well, Central Florida obviously has had our number, and they've had a lot of success for a long time, not only just versus Memphis, right? Especially the last 13 games, but against the rest of the country. I mean, there's a reason why they've had some undefeated seasons and played in some Power Six bowl games and New Year's Day bowl games because they've elevated their program to that level. And so they're a team that plays with a lot of confidence. And obviously with us being able to go out there and do that, it allows our guys to have a little bit more confidence and believe in what we're doing. I think the way the win occurred, Anthony, is what built the confidence more than anything. But our guys are also humbled. I mean, you wouldn't have walked into our team meeting yesterday and felt just joy and jubilation. Yeah, there's some smiles and people were happy, obviously, with the result. But look, time to turn the page. We can't let a win come back and beat us. I mean, we're not going to talk about that game after today until the offseason, because it's one of those we know how good Temple is. If there's any question about it, go look at what they did to us in the first half last game when we played them. I mean, they beat us, and I don't know what the score was at the first half, but they took it to us. Offensively, we didn't do much at all versus them in the first half, and so we got a lot of work to do. I think our defense is humbled. I know our special teams, we got to clean up some execution. So, yeah, we've got confidence. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of swagger on Saturday. But right now it's another work week, and we got to get better.
Steven?
Two quick questions, Ryan. The first, do you anticipate TJ Carter being available this weekend?
I think it's going to be a day-to-day thing, Steven.
Okay. All right. And secondly, I remember the end of the Temple game. I was working somewhere else. I know it was very controversial and got in the way of a perfect season. Do you think there'll be any motivation from that game?
Look, I really believe it, kind of like I answered with UCF. It shouldn't have been controversial because we put ourselves in that situation. I always say sometimes when plays come down to the end, if you did your job in all three phases, it shouldn't come down to the last play. Sometimes they do. And so at the end of the day, we didn't do what we were supposed to last year versus them. Hopefully we can fix some of those mistakes. So, but the motivation, I think the guys do know, hey, look, it's another conference opponent coming to the Liberty Bowl. And I think our guys have a certain edge of them playing at home. And so I think that's where the excitement will be.
Mark?
Hey, Ryan. I'm curious if you'd be willing to kind of take me into the operation a little bit about when you're in a key moment, how you end up making a decision. The moment I'm thinking of is the 4th and 3 shovel pass to Taj. How does that work on the sideline? Is it something in your head like, I love that play from the week practicing it, let's do it? Is it Kevin suggesting it from the box? Obviously, you're the one making the final call on going for it and what play. But in that moment, can you take me into how the operation works in a
sure,
moment like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just like with a lot of those situations, right? It's one, hey, we get to this 4th down situation. Does it even make sense to go for it? So ultimately, I have to make that decision. And then once we've decided, or even leading up to that, hey, where's going to be the down and distance, part on the field, right? Where we're going to go for it. And so once that's decision made, and I give the confidence and the go ahead to go for it, it ultimately comes down to Coach Johns, Kevin. And he did a fantastic job. I mean, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, what a wonderful game he called Saturday. I mean, he's done a great job. Think about it. I mean, for him, putting together this offense, right, missing some key pieces, because if you look at what we did last year, so much of our success involves Kenny Gainwell on the run game, Kenny Gainwell on the passing game, try to find those mismatches. I can think of, 6 games off the top of my head where, we just tried to feature him in order to find those mismatches. Same with Antonio Gibson. And we don't have those guys right now. So a lot of credit should go to Kevin for that. And then, with it, him and I kind of talk, and we've got great assistant coaches that kind of, chime in on their thought process. But, ultimately, him and I discuss it. He makes the call and we roll with it. And the players did a great job of executing it. And it's no different, with Mark, when you talk about those things like the 2-point conversions, hey, when do you think about going for those? And it's, you try to plan as best you can ahead. Obviously things happen in the moment, but you got to look at what do you think's advantageous for your entire team.
When you hear the call come in, not that a shovel pass is some elaborate play, but in a moment like that, a big moment, it's not a traditional play. When you hear the call come in, like, were you, because it had worked earlier, were you excited? What's your emotion when you hear a call like that come in?
Yeah, no, I think I'm pleased that we have him as an offense scorer because he's smart and gets it. And I think it's a fantastic call. And it's something we've executed, something we practiced during the week, that we feel like we've got confidence in, that has some answers to what they were doing. And so we discuss it, and, when we all decide, hey, that's the play to go, then we roll with it. So yeah, there's excitement. There's obviously anytime you're going for it in that situation, there's a little bit of fingers crossed and holding your breath. But again, the credit to him for the play call and credit to the players for the execution.
Sorry, and just one last quick thing with following up on DeMonte. You said after the game he's not with us right now. We're moving forward without him. Did he opt out, and is there a chance he could come back to the team?
Yeah, Mark, this is not me trying to be like a secretive head coach. I think it's NCAA policy. I know at least our school policy is until a player actually signs a piece of paper, we're not supposed to be able to comment, because we have had guys that have left the program over the last 5 years for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I'm going to come out and say, hey, such and such left because of this happened with their family member, or such and such happened because of this injury, or they're dealing with mental health. So, at the end of the day, I think that's going to always be until a player personally either comes out and talks about it or a piece of paper signed. And again, it's just really to protect our student athletes. So I hope you understand that.
I get it. Thanks.
Evan?
Brian, you kind of mentioned it. Brady is the only returning skill player on offense that had a significant role last year. Looking at his growth over the last now 3 seasons he's been here, what changed in him as far as, obviously you talk about his leadership, you talk about how he's, being more mobile on the field, just taking that initiative. What did you see differently in him this season? And now going forward, do you rely on that thing to help keep this team going now with this young receiving core and running backs?
Yeah, Evan, one of the things I see, obviously now he knows good and well this is his team, right? I mean, they're especially now, right? You don't look around and say, oh, well, we got this star, we got that star, this all-conference player. So he knows good and well that this is his team. This is his offense, if you will. And so I think that confidence helps him. He feels really comfortable in the game plan. He's up here like a lot of I always talk about these NFL quarterbacks that you'd sit with and go through game planning and say, make sure they're comfortable with it. And I think when he's comfortable with, hey, here's our 4th and 3 call, you like it? Absolutely. Or, hey, coach, have you thought about this? Well, that's a great suggestion. Maybe we can do that. And so sometimes when the players have ownership in the game planning, it can make all the dividends in the world. So if he's not comfortable with it, we're probably not going to call it. So that part of it, Evan. And then another thing is his body transformation. I know it's hard to tell, obviously, because we're not, around as much at practice. And, sometimes the guys would, take their shoulder pads off after things, but you guys don't have the opportunity to see it. He's really done a nice job with himself physically, the way he eats, the way he's trained. He did a great job really since the end of the Cotton Bowl, after he recovered from last season, taking care of himself, doing things the right way. And I think we saw it, right? I mean, great job running on a few of those plays. We know that he's not speed lightning, but I think he has more confidence in his physical structure in order to, to do certain things. Obviously the hit he took on that 2-point play, we want to avoid those, but he's also put himself in the right situation where his body feels good and he's able to move around a little bit better physically.
That 2-point conversion kind of showed me kind of like what he's doing as far as just taking that chance, doing it upon himself a little bit. Do you just see that being another level of his confidence where it's a case of, hey, I got to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm trusting it's going to happen?
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right on that. I think it's, when he has beliefs in it and he knows, hey, this is what I've got to do. And really the play broke down and he said, screw this, I got to go get in myself. And obviously, laid it on the line and took a hit, but he knew he was going to do it, but anything to try to get those points.
Jake?
Hey, Coach. Temple has had 2 games, both of them decided by 2 points. What is your first impression of Anthony Russo in the Temple offense?
Yeah, Anthony is a guy that's had success there, right? He's a quarterback that's done a fantastic job. For them, it was a nice comeback, from behind win, versus them, versus South Florida. So, and he's a veteran quarterback that does it right. They got, I believe they returned 2 of their 3 starting receivers from last year. They're starting running backs back. They have actually an older offensive line that, in fact, 3 of their 5 starters have already graduated from college. And we know, that Temple tough. I think that's their mentality, right? Especially in the trenches. From an offense standpoint, their quarterback's efficient. He does things the right way. They've always hung their hat on being able to pound the rock throughout their various staffs that have been there. But I know their offense gives people fits. I mean, like you said, those 2-point games, shoot, I kind of know what that's like right now. So they're going to battle. They're going to give us everything they got. That's for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Mike?
Morning, Ryan. A couple of quick things. There's been a lot of great quarterbacks at Memphis over the past few years and a lot of great quarterbacking performances. But when you sat back and you saw it in person, we all did, but when you sat back and watched it on film, are you even that much more amazed at what Brady was able to do on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, you think about some of the greats. I can think about Danny Wimprey, and obviously I wasn't around for him, but he's a legend. Then obviously as we were coming in, Paxton Lynch, on his way out, and then Riley Ferguson, obviously a cannon of an arm, had a lot of success here. And then you watch what Brady's done. And I think that performance on Saturday just kind of, since Brady's been here, a lot of people go back and forth on him, and it just always drove me nuts. Like, oh, is he really the quarterback for Memphis? Can he do this? And I think what it did, it was just everybody said, okay, yeah, he's the real deal. And that performance just spoke dividends. Not only that, but it's so hard to tell by his demeanor on the sideline. And I talked to you guys after the game, like, about the way I was. I mean, he was positive, smiles in the huddle with me, just saying, yeah, we got this, let's go, and encouraging everybody. And I think that just kind of shows you, like, he never once, felt in disbelief, like we can't do this, or we're getting behind, or this is happening. I mean, he's a guy that easily, could have showed up on Saturday with his head down saying, woe is me, all this has happened. I thought I was going to have the opportunity to have, and he went out there and performed. Really one of the best games I've seen a quarterback perform live. And just, that performance is, hopefully he can continue to repeat that. We don't want to have to keep coming from behind, but if he can ball it like that, we'll be just fine.
And then I know you mentioned that you won't get a lot into Coxie's situation because you can't, but can you give us a little bit of a timeline as to when it happened? Because obviously he spoke to us on Tuesday and there was really no inclination. And then was this a Wednesday thing? Because you talked about the receivers didn't get a lot of forewarning that their plays were going to go up. So what was the kind of timeline last week?
Yeah, it was in the middle of the week, and it was not expected.
And lastly, was it a catch last year against Temple?
I'm sure Joey will be in the stands with a big sign saying I caught it. So we'll figure that one out. Look, game was a rough one last year for us, but I think we learned a lot from that game. And sometimes you say you can learn from things, just like this SMU game. I think we're able to sit back and learn quite a bit from it. And I think we're going to find every game this year, hopefully win more than we lose, we're going to learn quite a bit from. And we learned a lot from. Learned, it's not a correct word, poor English there. We gained a great deal of knowledge from that game last year, and we hope to, continue from it. And, hopefully all of our lessons are in the past from us. But was it a catch? You'll have to ask Joey. I'm sure he'll be in the Liberty Bowl on Saturday.
Terry?
Hey, Coach, I know you have a rule, man. After the game Saturday, enjoy it, go tonight. But tell me, your film session on Sunday, man, I know that wasn't just a regular film session. I know you had a bunch of emotion. So how was the film session yesterday?
When I watched it myself, one of the things, and we talk to our guys quite often, when you have success, a lot of people are going to pat you on the back and tell you how great you are. And that'd be, lying if I didn't say there was, quite a few text messages and congratulatory calls and all that stuff. But what I did was I put my phone away and said, I just got to focus on this game. And I can't worry about anything. So I put my blinders on and watched it one play at a time and in sequential order. Then I went back and I watched offense, defense, and special teams separately and tried to watch it with a hard eye. And then what it did is it caught me and said, hey, we've got a lot of work to do as a program and we're not where we need to be. And look, you're happy with the results and all that stuff. But so to me, Terry, I actually tried to go the opposite way of it. And I told our players, I said, given the results of this, now we have the opportunity to coach you harder. Now we have the opportunity to continue to push. And, with like a lot of things, that's great. Let's enjoy it. But now it's got to be in the rearview mirror and we got to be staring straight ahead.
We'll take two more. Anthony.
Coach, I know as the head coach, you can't predict all of the things that will happen throughout the season, so you've got to be ready to adapt. But with the COVID thing and players being able to opt out of the season and all of these other extra changes and challenges that come with this season, how do you stay mentally focused to do your job?
Well, you guys can't tell, but the grays are coming in on the side pretty nice with the hair. So I try my best to stay focused because I wake up every day and I know that as a head coach, there's always going to be issues. I think, Anthony, this year more than ever, there are major issues that can occur and sometimes more than one on a daily basis. So I come in every day, say, okay, what are going to be the challenges? What are the obstacles? And how can we handle them? Right. And I can only control what I can control. I can sit here and panic and lose my mind and freak out. But I say, okay, take a deep breath. Okay, this is another situation. How are we going to handle it? And like I tell our guys, like all this adversity, and our guys have faced a lot of adversity. There's been a lot more going on. And I'm so proud of the way they've battled through it. And they stick together. And, for me, it's just, okay, this is where my heart is with these guys. And let's just keep finding ways to have success on and off the field. And we're going to, guess what? There's going to be more bumps in the road. The adversity is not done for 2020. This is not going to be an easy season. I don't know if there is such a thing in college football these days, but look, there's going to be something that's going to come up here in the next few hours, something that's going to come up tomorrow. So I just, allow me to keep myself focused as, hey, it's one day at a time with that approach. And I think taking it one game at a time and knowing that I've got the right men surrounding me and support staff, that makes it that much easier.
I've got a couple grades coming in. You got any tips on what I can do to keep them hidden so people don't see them?
That's right. I wish I had some advice. I don't ever go out or shop anymore. So I just let it go. I think it's a good look for you, Anthony. So just keep them going. Maybe you could be like Jeff and just shave it all off and no one has to worry about it, but we'll fight the good fight together. Sound good?
All right. I can't shave it off though, Coach, not yet.
It looks good.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Stephen, last question.
Coach, you're kind of talked in the past about needing Colin to kind of step up as that next kind of hybrid running back receiver. Had over 100 all-purpose yards on Saturday. How big was that in terms of his confidence and what it will mean for the offense, especially without Coates going forward?
Yeah, Colin's one of those guys that we're having to use in a lot of different positions, like you said, right? Sometimes he's playing that slot receiver, the position we call that four back that we've had a lot of, successful players from Memphis be able to play and then line them up in the backfield. So, like I said, he's versatile, which allows us to use him as a receiver. He's got great hands out of the backfield. He can block. So we're going to rely on him quite a bit. We're going to have to find different ways to find the mismatches of him. He's a guy that we can hand the ball off to. So we've got to be creative as an offensive staff, right? Because you can put him in there and you got to say, okay, is it 11 personnel? Our team's going to treat him as a wide receiver when he's lined up as a wide receiver, or are they going to treat it like 21 personnel when he's lined up in the backfield if we have two backs? So I think that's some of those things you're going to be creative and, great confidence in him and his confidence is getting, right? Be able to do those types of deals, especially as another guy, right? That came here as a walk-on and is performing at a high level.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. You all have a great day.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, man.